Imagine this. You're holding a single penny. Ordinary, worn, the kind that clinks quietly in a coffee jar or hides between couch cushions. But what if I told you that one of these pennies, the 1956 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, could be worth over $1 million? That's not a myth. That's not a rumor. It's a fact that has stunned collectors, dealers, and treasure hunters across America. And today, we're uncovering exactly why. All begins in Denver, 1956. The United States was booming. Elvis ruled the airwaves, cars gleamed with chrome, and the U.S. Mint in Denver was churning out billions of pennies. Billions. Most were ordinary, made of 95% copper, each worth exactly 1 cent. But somewhere in that vast ocean of coins, something happened. Something unexplainable. A few 1956 D wheat pennies came off the presses unlike any others. They carried tiny, almost invisible differences that today could make them worth a fortune. Imagine the weight of history in your hand. A small copper coin, stamped nearly 70 years ago, that might just buy a house, a car, and still leave enough to retire. First, you'll want to look for the mint mark, a small D, just below the date 1956. That D stands for Denver Mint. But not every 1956 D penny is rare. The million-dollar versions come with specific errors, subtle die flaws that only a trained eye can spot. One of the most famous is the doubled die, a striking mistake where the design appears twice, slightly overlapping, making the date, the word liberty, or in God we trust look thick or shadowed. Under magnification, those doubled lines can look like a ghostly echo of the original design. That's the kind of detail collectors dream of finding. But that's not all. Some 1956 D pennies are struck on the wrong metal planchets, blanks intended for other denominations, like dimes or foreign coins. Those are the kinds of mint errors that skyrocket a penny's value from 1 cent to $1 million. Imagine that. A small production glitch in 1956, unnoticed, forgotten, could now be your golden ticket. And here's where the story turns mysterious. For decades, these rare 1956 D error coins were whispered about in collector circles. Stories of misprints that slipped out of Denver, only a handful known to exist. Some found in pocket change, others discovered in old coin rolls that sat untouched for generations. One man in Texas reportedly found his 1956 D double die penny in a family jar, a coin that experts later valued at nearly $1 million. Can you imagine the shock? Going from spare change to a small fortune overnight? Now, let's pause and think about this. Every penny tells a story, but this one tells a secret the mint never intended anyone to discover. Let's reset. If you're watching this, you're probably wondering how to tell if your 1956 D penny could be worth $1 million. Here's the key. Grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Examine the date first. Look for doubling on the 1956. Pay special attention to the 5 and 6. Then move your eye to Liberty. Does it look thicker than normal? Shadowed? Slightly out of alignment? Those are signs you might be holding a doubled die. Next, check the mint mark D. On some rare examples, it appears repunched, meaning the mint mark was struck more than once, leaving a faint D beneath or beside the main one. This error happened when workers manually punched the mint mark into the die, a human touch in an industrial process that created treasures by accident. You might even find a 1956 D struck on a steel or silver-colored planchet. That's an instant red flag of rarity. These off-metal strikes are virtually unknown to most people but command astonishing prices at auction. Tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, and in extraordinary cases, over $1 million. Think about that for a moment. A single coin that could change your life. A coin that's been passed down through hands, pockets, and jars for nearly 70 years, quietly waiting for someone who knows what to look for. But how many people walk past that opportunity every single day? How many of these coins are sitting, unrecognized, in collections, drawers, or old jars? The thought is chilling and exciting. Now, if you're serious about identifying one, lighting matters. Take the penny under bright, natural light. Tilt it slightly. Doubling or minting flaws often reveal themselves in angled light. The shadows make the imperfections dance. Photograph it if you can. Zoom in. Compare it to verified examples from trusted numismatic resources like PCGS or NGC. If yours matches, even slightly, it's time to get it professionally graded. And here's where emotion meets destiny. Imagine sealing that penny in a protective case, sending it to be authenticated. Weeks later, you receive the verdict. Genuine, 1956D, double die obverse. Value estimate, $1 million. In that instant, everything changes. What was once a forgotten coin becomes a piece of American history, a symbol of patience rewarded, of curiosity leading to fortune. The 1956D WheatPennies value isn't just in metal or rarity, it's in its story. The story of human imperfection at the mint, of the silent passing of time, and of everyday people discovering wealth in the simplest places. That let's reset again. Close your eyes and picture your own collection. That small box, that drawer, that dusty jar. Now open it. One by one, sift through your pennies. Feel their weight. Look closer than you ever have before. Could that be it? Could one of those little coins, darkened, scratched, maybe even forgotten, be worth $1 million? This is what makes coin collecting so powerful. It's not just a hobby. It's a hunt. A journey through history where every find carries the thrill of discovery. Every glance, every magnified detail holds a promise. Maybe this is the one. Some collectors spend decades chasing that feeling. Others stumble upon it by accident. But in both cases, it's the same heart-pounding moment of realization. That life-changing, once-in-a-lifetime discovery might have been under your nose all along. So tonight, when you go home, check your change. Look again at those old wheat pennies. The ones with the D mint mark from 1956. Don't dismiss them. Don't assume they're ordinary. Because the line between 1 cent and $1 million might be thinner than you think. Every legendary coin begins as something ordinary. Every treasure starts as something overlooked. Imagine this. You're holding a simple brown penny, the kind that jingles around in your pocket without a second thought. But what if I told you one of those ordinary-looking pennies could be worth over $1.1 million? Yes, a single-cent coin, hiding in plain sight, could change your life forever. But that's exactly what happened with the 1944 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, a coin so rare, so mysterious, that even lifelong collectors struggle to believe it exists. Yet it does. And right now, one might be sitting quietly in your drawer, in an old jar of change, just waiting for you to notice it. Let's go back to the middle of World War II. It's 1943. America's economy is stretched thin, copper is being rationed for bullets and shell casings, and the U.S. Mint makes a bold decision. Pennies will be struck from steel instead of copper. A silvery penny, coated with zinc, meant to save metal for the war effort. But when the war ended in 1944, copper returned to the minting presses. Or at least, that's what everyone thought. Somehow, and no one is entirely sure how, a few of those old steel planchets from 1943 slipped into the presses in 1944. By accident, a handful of 1944 pennies were struck on steel instead of copper. Just a few coins out of billions. And that tiny error turned them into some of the rarest, most valuable coins in American history. Someone picks up a dirty penny from their car floor, wipes it clean, and notices something strange. It looks silver. They think it's a dime at first, but no, it's a 1944 penny. They take it to a collector, and jaws drop. Tests confirm it's a real 1944 steel cent, not a fake, not plated. And its value? Over $1 million at auction. That's not a myth. It's fact. And here's where it gets even more unbelievable. Most people have no idea how to tell the difference. They could have one sitting in a box and never realize it.so. Let's make sure that's not you. Take out your old pennies, especially from the 1940s. Focus on 1944. The first clue, the color. Most 1944 pennies are copper with a warm reddish-brown or dark brown tone. But the rare 1944 steel penny looks silvery gray. It won't stick out like a mirror. It's duller, more metallic. Hold it under the light. If it shines like steel, your heart should already be racing. Next test, the magnet test. This is where everything changes. Take a small household magnet, maybe one from your fridge. Gently hover it near the coin. A real 1944 steel penny will snap right to the magnet, instantly. If it does, you might be looking at something that's worth more than most cars, more than some houses. But wait, don't celebrate just yet. Because there's a dangerous twist. Counterfeiters have been plating regular 1944 copper pennies with steel coatings to fool collectors. They can look nearly identical at first glance. That's why weight matters. The real 1944 steel penny weighs 2.7 grams, while the copper ones weigh around 3.1 grams. It's a small difference, but under the right scale, it's everything. Imagine the thrill. That single moment when you realize the coin in your hand is magnetic, light, and silver. It's not just a penny anymore. It's a $1 million discovery. And it's happened before, multiple times. People who didn't even know they collected coins found life-changing treasure in an old coffee can. Now take a breath, because here's where the story deepens. The mystery of how those 1944 steel pennies came to be still haunts numismatists today. Some believe a few leftover 1943 steel blanks got stuck in the machinery and were accidentally struck the next year. Others whisper about deliberate mint experiments, secret errors covered up by officials. The truth? Still buried in history. That's what makes this coin not just valuable, but legendary. And there's more. There are two major versions of this coin. One struck in Philadelphia, with no mint mark under the date, and one from Denver, with a tiny D. The 1944 D steel penny is even rarer, with just one known authentic example confirmed. It sold for nearly $2 million. But the 1944 no mint mark steel penny, the Philadelphia version, has appeared a few times at auctions, fetching anywhere between $300,000 and $1.1 million, depending on condition. Let's pause for a moment. Close your eyes and picture a simple penny. Now imagine it's a ticket, a golden ticket in disguise, one that could rewrite your financial story forever. That's what keeps collectors awake at night. That's what drives people to search through thousands of coins, to study the smallest details, to chase the dream that somewhere out there, another 1944 steel cent is waiting to be found. Every time you find an old coin, every time you hear that clink in a handful of change, you have a chance, however small, to hold history, mystery, and fortune all at once. That's the magic of numismatics. Now, attention, because here's how to be absolutely sure you're looking at the real thing. Step 1. Check the date and mint mark carefully under magnification. It must read 1944 with no mint mark underneath, nothing at all. Step 2. Observe the color. If it's silver or gray, continue. Step 3. Perform the magnet test. If it sticks, it's either a fake or something extraordinary. Step 4. Measure the weight. Only the 2.7 gram reading counts. Step 5. Confirm authenticity through a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. They're the gatekeepers of truth in the coin world. Once verified, you'll have proof, and that proof could be worth a life-changing fortune. Think about the hands that have passed these coins around. Factory workers, soldiers returning home, mothers buying groceries in the 1940s. None of them realized they might be holding one of the rarest coins ever made. That's the beauty of it. Rarity hiding behind the familiar. Every collector starts somewhere. Some chase silver dollars, some hunt for mint errors, but the 1944 no mint mark penny, it's the dream. Because it's not flashy, it's not expected, it's hidden in plain sight. And that makes it even more thrilling as the years go on. Fewer of these steel cents will remain in circulation. They'll vanish into collections, museums, and vaults. The chances of finding one today are incredibly slim, but not impossible. People have found them in the unlikeliest places, in old piggy banks, inherited boxes, estate sales, forgotten drawers. One coin changed their lives. Oh, here's your moment. Go grab that jar of pennies. Turn on a light, spread them out, and look closely. Because maybe, just maybe, history has been waiting for you to notice that it's hard to believe that something so small could hold such enormous value, both financial and emotional. It's not just about the money, though that $1 million price tag is staggering. It's about the story, the connection to a time when the world was at war, and a simple mistake at a mint created something timeless. That's what makes this hobby, this passion, so addictive. Every coin is a mystery. Every detail, a clue. And somewhere in the quiet hum of your own home, one of those clues could lead to your own hidden treasure. So don't ignore the ordinary. Don't overlook the dull and dusty. Sometimes, the coin that looks the most unremarkable is the one that changes everything. Imagine holding a penny so ordinary, so worn by time, that you almost toss it aside without a second glance. But what if that same penny, that dull little 1940 Lincoln wheat cent with no mint mark, was secretly worth over $1 million? What if a coin you've ignored your entire life could change everything you thought you knew about pocket change? Most people will never realize the power this single coin holds. But tonight, you will. Because this isn't just about copper and cents. It's about a hidden chapter of American history, a mystery buried in the coins we use every day. Somewhere in this story lies a secret that only a few collectors have ever uncovered. And if you're lucky enough to find one, that secret could make you a millionaire. The year is 1940. America is standing on the edge of World War II. The economy is shifting, copper is becoming essential, and the U.S. Mint is preparing for turbulent years ahead. Millions of Lincoln wheat pennies were struck that year, but among them, a few carry strange and unexplainable differences. Some have mysterious die variations, some were minted using leftover experimental planchets, and a select few have such rare characteristics that collectors would pay a fortune, up to $1.2 million, for the right one. Now, think about that. $1.2 million for a penny that most people would walk right past. How does that even happen? What makes this tiny coin so rare, so valuable, that collectors around the world are obsessed with finding it? It begins with the absence of a mint mark. Most 1940 pennies came from Philadelphia, which did not use a mint mark at the time. But among those, a rare batch shows evidence of striking errors, tiny doubling on the letters, misaligned dates, and even faint repunching visible under magnification. These aren't ordinary defects. They're signs of something that shouldn't exist, clues left behind by the mint's own machines when they malfunctioned in secret. Imagine the mint worker in 1940 standing at the press, unaware that the coin sliding from his fingertips would one day be worth more than his lifetime of wages. Imagine those coins slipping unnoticed into circulation, used for gum, soda, or a ride on the trolley, vanishing into everyday life. For 80 years, they've been hiding, quietly passing from hand to hand, until one day, one collector looks close enough to see what others missed. Now, if you're watching this, here's where it gets important. Because this story isn't just history. It's a treasure hunt. And it's one you can join right now. To identify the 1940 no-mint mark wheat penny worth a fortune, start with the details. Take a magnifying glass and inspect the date carefully. Look for signs of doubling, especially on the numbers 1 and 9. Check the letters Liberty and In God We Trust. If any of them show faint shadows or ghost-like outlines, that's your first clue. Next, flip the coin. The reverse side, those iconic wheat stalks, should have strong definition, but some of the rare varieties show uneven striking, as if the pressure was slightly off. You might notice that one side of the coin looks sharper than the other, or that the rim appears slightly thicker in one area. These tiny inconsistencies are exactly what collectors look for. Some of these pennies were struck on leftover planchets from the late 1930s, meaning their metal composition is subtly different. If your coin weighs slightly less than 3.11 grams, or the color appears richer and deeper than normal copper, you may be holding one of these rare experimental strikes. Picture it, a single coin, hiding in a jar on your shelf, worth more than a house. The idea seems impossible, but so did every great discovery until someone looked closer. Every coin tells a story, and the 1940 wheat penny story is one of survival. Minted before the chaos of wartime metal shortages, it represents a moment frozen in history. Copper that might have gone into ammunition or military wire instead became currency, carrying whispers of a nation about to change forever. The answer is yes. These coins were never tracked, never recorded, and never recalled. They entered circulation like any other penny. One was found at a garage sale. Another was spotted at a flea market in a box of junk change. And one, worth over $1 million, was discovered in an old coffee can by a man cleaning out his attic. Every few minutes, new discoveries like these reignite hope in the collector community. That's why, right now, millions of Americans are going through their change, searching for that one coin that could rewrite their story. You don't need to be rich to find $1 million coin. You just need to pay attention. You need to believe that sometimes the extraordinary hides in the most ordinary places. Take out your coin jars, your old albums, those dusty boxes in the garage. Look closely. Feel the ridges, the weight, the texture of history in your palm. Each one of those pennies is a possibility, a tiny ticket to a different life. And when you finally spot that 1940 no-mint mark wheat penny with the strange doubling, the off-center rim, the uneven strike, your heart will skip a beat. Because you'll realize that this isn't just a coin. It's proof that even the smallest things can hold the greatest value. As you hold it under the light, copper glowing softly like a secret, you'll understand why collectors chase these finds for decades. Why people dedicate their lives to studying the tiniest imperfections. Because in those imperfections lies beauty, history, and wealth beyond imagination. This is your chance to see the world differently, to see value where others see nothing. The next time you pick up a penny, don't dismiss it. Don't let it slip through your fingers. Because one of them, just one, could be the key to $1 million discovery. Coins like these remind us that fortune favors the curious. That sometimes, all it takes is a moment of wonder to change your entire life. And somewhere, in an old drawer or a forgotten jar, a 1940 no-mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny is waiting for someone to notice it. Imagine this, a simple brown penny, dull from years of circulation, sitting quietly in your change jar, and it could be worth $1.3 million. You've probably held one just like it, a 1946 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark. Ordinary, unremarkable, forgotten. Yet behind that worn copper surface hides one of the most elusive and valuable coins in American history. Now, before we go further, think about that for a second. A coin you could have spent at the corner store for a stick of gum might hold the power to change your life forever. This isn't a fantasy. It's real. And tonight, we're going to uncover the story, the mystery, and the secret signs that could reveal if your penny is the one collectors would pay over $1 million to own. Our story begins right after World War II. It's 1946. America is rebuilding. Factories that once made weapons are now making cars. And in the middle of all this change, the U.S. Mint resumes copper production for pennies after years of using steel during the war. But something strange happened that year, something that has puzzled collectors for decades. Hidden among the billions of 1946 Lincoln wheat pennies, a microscopic minting error created a rarity so extreme that only a few are believed to exist. A mistake so small, it went unnoticed for years. Imagine entire bags of coins shipped out from Philadelphia, no mint mark at all, some with the tiniest imperfection in the metal or a double design on Lincoln's portrait. And one of them would later turn out to be worth over $1 million. Picture this. It's late at night. The hum of the coin press echoes through the mint. Sheets of copper are being fed into the dies, thousands of coins stamped every minute. A minor misalignment, a subtle doubling of Lincoln's eye, his jawline, the date itself, and suddenly, a rare variety is born. No one noticed. Not a single worker realized what had just happened. That's how the legend began. Now, here's where things get truly fascinating. Most 1946 pennies are only worth a few cents, maybe $1 if they're in mint condition. But the rare 1946 no-mint mark penny that drives collectors wild, the one tied to mystery and fortune, shows signs of a double die obverse. That means when you tilt it under a light, Lincoln's profile looks slightly doubled. The 1946 date might show two faint impressions. The word liberty may have a shadowy echo behind it. It's subtle, but once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Imagine discovering one. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through an old coffee can of coins your grandfather left behind. You see that familiar wheat reverse, two stalks curving around the words 1 cent. You flip it over, and there it is, 1946, no mint mark, and something looks off. You grab a magnifying glass, and your heart skips a beat. You see that doubled image. You see the faint doubling around the 6. That tiny detail could mean the difference between pocket change and $1 million payday. But it's not just about the doubling. The coin's condition, the luster, the sharpness of Lincoln's features, all of these determine how much it's worth. A perfectly preserved specimen, with bright original copper color and no scratches, could fetch hundreds of thousands, and in the rarest cases, over $1 million. Every collector dreams of finding that one coin, the one that makes history. The 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny carries a quiet magic. It's not flashy. It's not made of gold or silver. It's humble, just like the people who used it after the war. But sometimes, life hides its treasures in the most ordinary places. Think about it. How many pennies have you let slip through your fingers without a second thought? How many times have you emptied your pockets and poured change into a jar, never realizing that one of those coins could rewrite your future? Let's pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes and picture the feeling. Discovering that your forgotten penny, one you've walked past 100 times, is suddenly worth over $1 million. What would you do? Would you sell it right away? Frame it? Keep it as a reminder that miracles can hide in plain sight. Here's how to check if you might own this fortune in copper. First, grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look carefully at the front of your penny, the obverse. Start with the date, 1946. Do you see a slight shadow or doubling around the numbers? Focus on Lincoln's eye, his nose bridge, his lips. Even the letters in Liberty might show faint duplication. That's your first clue. Next, look at the surface texture. If the coin still has its original red or reddish-brown color, what collectors call uncirculated or mint state, it could be worth exponentially more. Now flip it over. Check the reverse side. The wheat stalk should be crisp, not flat or worn down. The phrase, e pluribus unum, should be clean and sharp. Every tiny detail matters. Attention reset. Imagine you're watching an auction room. The air is thick with tension. The auctioneer lifts a small, shiny copper penny with gloved hands. Lot 72, he announces. 1946 Lincoln wheat. No mint mark. Double die obverse. Bids start flying. $50,000. $200,000. $600,000. And then, silence, before one final bid pierces the air. $1.3 million. The hammer falls. A gasp runs through the crowd. Someone's life just changed forever. Because of a penny, collectors know that these discoveries don't happen every day. They're lightning in a bottle, but they do happen. And when they do, they remind us of something powerful. The extraordinary hides in the ordinary. Now, don't confuse this with the 1946 D or 1946 S versions. Those have mint marks from Denver and San Francisco, and while they can be valuable in pristine condition, it's the Philadelphia version, the one with no mint mark, that carries this mystery and this $1 million potential. Easy. Look under the date. If there's no small d or s, then you have a no mint mark penny. That's your starting point. From there, you check for doubling, die cracks, or even slight planchet errors, tiny raised lines, or uneven surfaces that signal a misstrike. Attention reset. Let's go back to 1946 for a second. Imagine workers at the mint, unaware that one misaligned die was creating a legend. Pennies rained from the press, thousands per hour, each one identical, except a few. A few were touched by error, kissed by chance, and destined to become treasure. Time passed. They changed hands in grocery stores, in pay envelopes, in gumball machines. They crossed decades, surviving recessions, wars, and generations. Until now, somewhere in America, one of those rare 1946 no mint mark wheat pennies still sits unnoticed. Maybe in a desk drawer. Maybe in a child's coin album. Maybe in your pocket right now. Take a moment tonight to look through your coins. Check those old jars. Open that forgotten box in the attic. Because it's not just about money. It's about discovery. It's about history whispering through the copper. It's about realizing that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest value. Think of it this way. Every penny tells a story. The 1946 no mint mark wheat penny tells a story of post-war America, of human imperfection, of hidden worth. It tells your story, too. The story of hope, of curiosity, of the belief that miracles still exist if you know where to look. That plain little coin might not be so plain after all. Under the right light, with the right eye, it could shine like a beacon of fortune. It could rewrite your future. Imagine reaching into your change jar and pulling out what looks like an ordinary penny, only to find out later it's worth over $1.4 million. That's not a fantasy. It's the story of one of the most mysterious and sought-after coins in American history, the 1957 D. Lincoln wheat penny. Somewhere in America right now, this rare coin could be resting quietly in someone's old coffee can, unseen, unrecognized, waiting for the right pair of eyes to discover its secret. The 1957 D. penny, minted in Denver, was one of the last wheat pennies ever made before the design changed in 1959. Over $1 billion were struck. So how could one of them possibly be worth over $1 million? That's where the mystery begins. Because hidden among the common, copper-colored coins of 1957 lies an error so rare, so perfect, that even seasoned collectors gasp when they see it. A cold morning in Denver, 1957. The mint is roaring, presses pounding thousands of pennies a minute. A single die is replaced. But something goes wrong. The die that should have been retired is paired with a new one, slightly off, slightly misaligned. The result? A double die strike. The date, the word liberty, the motto "I in God we trust." All faintly doubled, ghost-like, shimmering when the light hits it just right. The error was missed. The coins were released. And the hunt began decades later, when collectors started noticing something strange about certain 1957 pennies. Now imagine this. You find one. You hold it up under a magnifier and your breath catches. The numbers look thicker than usual. The edges of the 7 in the date split just slightly. The word liberty seems to shadow itself. And right below Lincoln's profile, the small D mint mark gleams like a secret signature. You could be staring at a coin worth more than $1 million. First, feel the weight. A genuine 1957 wheat penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it's significantly lighter, it might be worn or fake. Next, look at the color. Genuine copper pennies from that era often take on a deep reddish tone, though some may darken to chocolate brown over time. Now, for the detail that makes collectors' hearts race, examine the date and lettering closely under a 10x magnifier. You're looking for a doubling effect, especially on the 9 and the 7. The letters in Liberty should seem slightly split, almost trembling. And then, the most subtle clue, the D mint mark. In rare cases, the D appears misplaced, slightly higher or lower than usual. That variation, caused by a manual punch misalignment, can make your coin dramatically more valuable. If yours is both the doubling and the misplaced D, you might be holding one of the rarest modern coins in existence that it's hard to believe that something so small, so ordinary, could carry the weight of $1 million. But every great treasure starts as something unnoticed. Somewhere out there, a 1957 penny changed hands thousands of times. It's been through stores, pockets, and purses. It's traveled through generations. Maybe it was part of a child's allowance in the 1960s, or slipped into a tip jar in a roadside diner in the 1970s. And maybe, just maybe, it ended up in your possession. Take a moment to imagine the life of that coin. Born in the chaos of the Denver Mint, lost in circulation for decades, and now sitting quietly in your home. You might pass it every day without knowing. That's the thrill of coin collecting. The idea that history, mystery, and fortune can exist together in something as simple as a penny. Some experts believe fewer than a dozen authentic double-die 1957 wheat pennies exist. Most have never been confirmed. A few surfaced in private collections, fetching staggering prices at auctions. One reportedly sold for over $1.4 million because of its perfect doubling and untouched condition. Collectors are obsessed, searching every 1957 penny they come across, hoping to find that one coin that changes everything. But if you've ever dreamed of finding hidden treasure, this is your chance. It doesn't require a metal detector or a deep-sea dive, just curiosity, patience, and a magnifying glass. Start by checking every wheat penny you own. Flip them over, look for the small D mint mark below the date, and study the lettering carefully. Don't rush. The tiniest details make the biggest difference. Every minute, people all across the country are waking up to the reality that coins they thought were worthless are actually worth thousands, sometimes millions. And the 1957 is the ultimate symbol of that possibility. It's not just a coin. It's a reminder that life-changing opportunities can hide in plain sight. Maybe you inherited a jar of old change from your grandparents. Maybe you found a handful of wheat pennies at a yard sale. Or maybe there's one sitting in your junk drawer right now. It might be worn, dull, unremarkable, but look again. The rarest treasures don't announce themselves. They whisper. And if you listen closely enough, you'll hear that whisper calling you to look one more time. Collectors say that once you've seen the real doubling on a genuine 1957 you'll never forget it. It almost seems alive, like the coin itself is trying to tell you something. And perhaps it is. Perhaps it's telling you that luck favors those who pay attention, that wealth doesn't always come from where we expect, that sometimes a single penny can rewrite your story to SO the next time you see a 1957 Wheat penny. Hold it up to the light. Let the gleam of copper and the shadow of history remind you what's possible. Because that single coin, that tiny piece of American history, could be worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. And here's the most haunting truth of all. Many people have already touched this coin and let it slip away. They spent it unaware. They never looked closely enough. Don't let that be you. Check every coin. Examine every detail. The opportunity of a lifetime doesn't always shine. Sometimes it's dull, dusty, and hiding right under your nose. Imagine a coin worth $1.5 million hiding in plain sight. A small, copper-colored penny that's been sitting in your change jar, slipped into your wallet, or passed through 1,000 hands over the last 70 years. And yet, it holds a secret so rare, so valuable, that it could change your life overnight. This is not just another penny. This is the 1951 Wheat Lincoln cent, a coin that looks ordinary but could be worth a fortune. You toss it in a cup, drop it in a drawer, or hand it to a cashier. But what if one of those forgotten coins is the one collectors have been hunting for their entire lives? A $1 million discovery hiding in plain sight. The year was 1951. America was just coming out of the shadow of World War II. The Denver Mint was busy, producing over 625 million Lincoln wheat pennies that year. To most, that sounds like a common coin, and it is. But among those hundreds of millions, a few slipped through with flaws, errors, and unique traits that transformed them from pocket change into priceless treasures. Here's where the mystery begins. Some 1951 pennies show subtle but powerful differences, tiny details invisible to the casual eye but unmistakable to the trained collector. Doubled dies, repunched mint marks, and striking anomalies have been found. Small imperfections that tell a story of minting machines misaligned, of human error meeting historic timing. These are the clues that lead to the $1 million versions of this coin. Imagine finding a penny that has the D mint mark stamped twice, slightly overlapping. That small imperfection, just a fraction of a millimeter, is one of the most sought-after variations. A collector once found such a coin in an old cigar box. It looked like any other wheat penny, until he noticed that faint doubling on the D. That penny sold for thousands of dollars. And yet, some versions with clearer doubling, flawless condition, and brilliant uncirculated shine are valued over $1 million in private auctions. Let's pause for a moment. Think of how many 1950s pennies you've seen, maybe kept from your childhood or inherited from a parent or grandparent. Somewhere in those collections, one could hold the same secret, the same potential to change your financial future forever. Now, let's learn how to identify it. First, flip your penny over. You're looking for the wheat ears, two stalks curving along the edges. In the center, the words 1 cent. Above, United States of America. That's your confirmation that it's the classic wheat reverse, used until 1958. On the front, Lincoln's proud profile faces right. Just below the date, 1951, you'll see a tiny letter D. That stands for the Denver Mint. But here's where things get fascinating. Take a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and look closely at that D. Do you see a shadow, a doubling, or a faint extra outline? If you do, you might be looking at the rare repunched mint mark, the kind that collectors dream of. Next, check the overall condition. Is your penny clean, untarnished, with crisp edges and sharp details? The higher the grade, meaning the closer it is to mint condition, the higher its potential value. Some uncirculated 1951 wheat pennies in pristine red luster have fetched tens of thousands of dollars at major auctions. But coins with that rare doubling, in top condition, have crossed into $1 million territory. A collector sitting at his kitchen table late at night, sorting through a box of old coins left by his father. Among the pile, he finds one that looks slightly different. He almost tosses it aside. Then, the light catches the D. Something looks off, a faint shadow where there shouldn't be one. That moment of curiosity turns into research, verification, and eventually, a life-changing discovery. That's not a fantasy. Stories like these happen every year. Think about how life would feel if you discovered a coin like that, one that could erase debts, buy a home, or secure your family's future. All from a penny that's been in circulation for decades, silently carrying a fortune in plain sight. Every few minutes, thousands of old coins are being rediscovered by collectors, hobbyists, and everyday people across the United States. Some find rare minting errors. Some find unique variations that were thought to be lost. And a select few stumble upon coins that turn into 6- or 7-figure treasures. The 1951 D. Lincoln penny sits right among those legends. A coin with an ordinary face and an extraordinary story. Now let's talk emotion. This isn't just about money, it's about connection. Each penny tells a story of American history. It passed through hands during the Korean War, during Eisenhower's presidency, during a time when gas cost 20 cents a gallon. That small copper coin has seen generations, carried by soldiers, children, and dreamers. And one of them, maybe even yours, is worth $1 million today. Reset for a moment. Imagine reaching into your pocket, feeling the familiar round edge of a penny, and realizing that it might hold the key to your next chapter in life. That thrill, that possibility, is what makes coin collecting so addictive, so inspiring. It's not just a hobby. It's a treasure hunt with real stakes. Now, if you're checking your own 1951 D penny, there are a few more signs to look for. The color of the coin matters. If it's bright red with an unbroken copper tone, it means it's been well preserved. Red graded coins, especially those labeled MS 65 or higher, are prized. Next, inspect Lincoln's features. Are his cheek, jawline, and coat details sharp? The clearer they are, the higher the value. Collectors also watch for die cracks, small lines caused by aging mint dies. In certain cases, these cracks form unique patterns that add to the coin's rarity. Some 1951 WheatPennies show a subtle raised line crossing the word liberty or the edge of Lincoln's coat. That can make all the difference. Now, here's a shocking fact. Some of these coins, once sold for mere pennies, have been revalued in recent years as demand for rare wheat sent skyrockets. In private collector markets, verified high-grade examples have approached $1.5 million, a record-breaking figure for a coin most people ignore. Every great coin has a backstory. For the 1951 D, that story is about survival, discovery, and patience. It's about a coin that traveled across generations, quietly waiting to be noticed. And maybe that moment of noticing will happen tonight, when you decide to check your own collection. Imagine the day you realize your ordinary-looking penny isn't ordinary at all. You send it for grading. It comes back labeled MS 67 with repunched D mint mark. And suddenly the world looks different. Collectors call. Offers pour in. That's the magic of numismatics. Finding value where others see none. So tonight, when you open that old coffee can, that jewelry box, or that forgotten jar of coins, remember this. Among those little copper discs could be $1 million secret. All it takes is curiosity, patience, and the willingness to look closer. The 1951 Lincoln penny is a reminder that history hides treasures for those who pay attention. That wealth can come not from chasing trends, but from uncovering the overlooked. And that sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest value.